Pure thoughts create a pure mind. A pure mind creates pure habit. Pure habit creates a pure body. A pure mind in a pure body, that is health. The attainment of true beauty and personal magnetism will require the cultivation of pure thought. Your thoughts are not as well hidden as you may think. Over time, impure thoughts can manifest themselves physically into the body and become etched into the character of the individual. This can have a negative effect on your interactions with others and the world around you. If people realize that the consequences of impure thought are so detrimental to their very being, they'd never have an impure thought again. According to Dharmantari, the sexual energy is transmuted into ojas or spiritual energy by pure thoughts. It is called sexual sublimination in Western psychology. Sublimination is not a matter of suppression or repression, but a positive dynamic conversion process. It is the process of controlling the sex energy, conserving it, then diverting it into the higher channels and finally converting it into spiritual energy or Ojas Shakti. Ojas is the cause of attractive personality. If you see any person who is outstanding in his works, whose speech is impressive and thrilling, has lustrous eyes and a magnetic aura on his face and awe-inspiring, charismatic personality, be sure that he has stored up ojas in his brain. This stored up energy can be utilized for divine contemplation and spiritual pursuits. The successful implementation of semen retention over the long term is no easy feat. It is an extremely rare achievement to retain the seed for years at a time. The elimination of impure thought is the next level up. It is existence at a higher frequency. It is the retention within retention that will take you to the loftiest heights of human experience. Perhaps for many practicing semen retention, the commonly held belief is that if fluids are not lost through ejaculation, then no energy is lost. But even from the spark of a lustful thought, the prostate can activate and start moving fluids up the vas deferens to the prostate in preparation for ejaculation. At this point, it is already too late. It is said that semen can be lost and excreted via the urine from merely having a lustful thought. Although anecdotal, retainers have claimed to have cloudy urine or noticeable semen excretion via the urine after practicing edging or non-ejaculatory sex. From 1874, a published doctor's account of his patient. A young man who had visited the East Indies twice as supercargo of a vessel sailing out of Boston consulted me 2 years ago in regards to a sexual nervousness, as he called it. He told me that while he had kept a native mistress in the East Indies, he had never indulged himself excessively, and yet he felt that he was losing his virility. He had become engaged to a beautiful woman, but feared he should prove unequal to marital duties. The symptoms, as I thought, indicated a masturbator's exhaustion, and I told him it was best to speak freely, concealing nothing, that I was not in the habit of compromising anyone who consulted me confidentially, etc. He said, "I never practiced masturbation more than 5 times in my life, when my mother began to suspect something and talked to me in such a way that I never was guilty again." I then proposed to examine his urine, and to that end brought in 5 long test tubes, directing him to fill them in my presence. I saw nothing unusual with my naked eye, and after a time proceeded to scrutinize the sediment with a microscope. Discovering nothing of interest, I finally asked him if there was anything in his sexual life which he had concealed from me. "Nothing that I know of," said he, "except that I indulge in thoughts about women. During my long voyages, I have given myself a good deal to such things. I have taken with me a score of French novels in which sex has been treated in a very fascinating way. Certain passages in these books I have read over and over, and then I have indulged for hours and days in thoughts to which such readings naturally give rise." Have you observed after several hours' abandonment to such fancies that your nervous system was greatly exhausted? I have constantly observed it. I have noticed that intercourse with my Indian girl did not exhaust me half so much. But sir, it is impossible to control my thoughts. Such fancies will haunt me, and it is impossible to get rid of them. I then said, "Come to see me again in 2 days, and I will prepare in writing the course you are to pursue." I advised him to eat very plain, unstimulating food, dispensing with supper altogether, and to work himself to fatigue every day. But I urged, above all other duties, the importance of keeping the mind free from impure thoughts. Upon his return from another voyage a few months ago, he called to see me. His face told of improved health, and as soon as we were alone, he began about my great victory. "Cleaned out, sir. I wouldn't go back again to wallow in the mire for my life. And now I'm going to marry, and I shall marry the woman's soul. If I had married 2 years ago, it would have been her body. What an animal I was. I have the impression that the service I rendered that gentleman was really more precious to him than to have saved his body from the jaws of death." End quote. As we can see from such experiences as above, it is not only for purity's sake that we must think pure thoughts, it is for the purpose of conserving our energy and maintaining a healthy physical existence. Further writings on the topic from the 1880s. It is a widespread and deadly error that only outward acts are harmful, that only physical transgression of the laws of chastity will produce disease. We have seen all the effects of beastly abuse result from mental sin alone. I have traced serious affections and very great suffering to this cause. The cases may occur at any period of life. We meet with them frequently among such as are usually called or think themselves continent young men. There are large classes of persons who seem to think that they may, without moral guilt, excite their own feelings or those of others by loose or libidinous conversation in society, provided such impure thoughts or acts are not followed by masturbation or fornication. I have almost daily to tell such persons that physically and in a sanitary point of view, they are ruining their constitutions. They are young men who almost pass their lives in making carnal acquaintances in the street, but just stop short of seducing girls. There are others who haunt the lower classes of places of public amusement for the purpose of sexual excitement, and live, in fact, a thoroughly immoral life in all respects, except actually going home with prostitutes. When these men come to me, laboring under the various forms of impotence, they are surprised at my suggesting to them the possibility of the impairment of their powers being dependent upon these previous vicious habits. Perhaps it's best to think of semen retention as not the end goal, but as a vital component to the foundation of a pure life. Purity is not just a mental concept. It manifests itself into the fibers of your very existence, influencing all who make your acquaintance.